Right. So I'm sat here on a Saturday morning in a very nice, sunny, wintry sunny morning in Yorkshire, and thinking that I'll do something that will help spread the word, kind of thing. This what I do, and I'm racking my brains trying to think of something to give it a title and just say, oh, it's about this, and it's about, you're gonna learn, if you watch this, you're gonna learn this, and I can't think of anything, honestly. But that's the point. I just draw in terms of, without too much consideration of what I'm going to do and whether or not it's going to please somebody or not, or whether or not it's going to help somebody or not. I don't really do it like that. I do it for no reason at all. If that's the best reason. I just like doing it, and I think that's probably one of the foundation. I talk about having no expectations. I think that's wrapped up in with the reason thing. Just to do it is enough, and I think most of us I've just spent all morning racking my brains trying to think what I'm going to talk about. So that's all morning wasted as far as I'm concerned. So bearing that in mind, talking is, some people are commenting that I talk too much. Well, tough, turn it off, watch it without sound. But I just think that we should just do it. Just do it. I think if we say, oh, it's going to be this, that, and the other, this kind of, and I'm trying to, like we did a lesson last night, and I was trying to explain about the finding the accuracy within things, and really looking for, this sort of the spacing of things, and having a sort of a visual the ability to see visually the distances, which goes back to the dots, really. But that was a thing, it was the lesson was a thing. It was something that the students were struggling with, and I wanted to help them do it. But at the bottom of all this, I just do this because I like doing it. And I think that's probably, as I said, the part of this no expectation, zero expectation thing. And then it manifests in the way I draw. So if I've got no consideration, I'm going to show you exactly where to put the dots and exactly where to sort of find the, sort of the shapes and the relationships and the eye socket and all that and the tonal. If I'm not going to do any of that, I'm just going to draw. And again, that's another example of this carefree way of drawing, because I'm not having to consider anything. I'm not having to consider that it's gonna do this, and it's gonna illuminate some the point of what I'm trying to get across. I'm not having to be aware of those things, which I really like. I really like the idea of not having to say, this is why I'm doing this is why I'm doing that. And I think if everybody can appreciate that freedom, if anything is a part of this, what I'm trying to do now, if other people can appreciate our freedom, then and embrace the freedom of just doing it, then that job done. I'm not really going to be trying to explain, this is how the charcoal does this and the lines do that, and this is what you need to consider. I'm not really going to be doing that, because I've already remove the chains, kind of thing, and people can find their own. They can see what I do and maybe pick things up from that. But essentially, the chains and the shackles of you must conform or you must do it this way have been eliminated, and that's it. So, but as I say, this is probably the foundation of what I do. I do really think it's about my enjoyment, and that's all it's ever been. It's just about my enjoyment. I think even when I was doing it all those years ago, I think it was the lack of enjoyment that drove me away from it. So I'm now totally focused on that one thing. Outcome or whatever is kind of secondary for me. I'm not. In fact, it's a funny thing, because my son was just doing a self-portrait, and we were talking about it, and my wife said to him, "Is it going to be realistic or whatever?" And he said, "It'll be whatever it'll be." And I think if you can't sort of approach, particularly self-portraits, if you can't approach a portrait in a way that says, this portrait will speak to me and I will respond to what it says. If you can't approach a portrait in that way, you're always going to be locked into, is it this, technique or that technique, or is it, have I, handled the tones, or have I applied the paint in the right way, and all that sort of thing. And I just think it's unless you can be free enough, have that freedom to just let it become what he wants to become. Because this is the thing with portraits, there's so much that is the moment affects it. It's the sun shining outside, or the weather, full stop, or your mental kind of I don't mean state in a bad way, but you know what I mean. It's you're tired or you're hungry or whatever. There are so many things that affect the way you respond. I mean, if you apply that to life, think about when you're tired, how you respond to other people. It's the same kind of thing. So you're going to respond to a face in relation to how your particular mood is, and that's good, and that's how it should be, because you see the world differently at different times. It's like the light changes sort of thing. It's that in a metaphorical sort of way. The light changes, you see the world in a different way. So your mood changes, you see the world in a different way. So it's that, and we're not open enough to that kind of influence on our responses. We're not aware of it. We try and force ourselves to be as good as last time, or as good as whatever. And that's the thing. Another thing that I found, having this I want to do it when I want to do it, and I want to do it all the time kind of thing. I don't care how it works out attitude. The variance in the outcomes, it's amazing. Sometimes it's completely different than others. Sometimes it's it feels more realistic. You can see with this, it's not really. There's a lot of flow in it, and trust me, it's not a scribble. There is a bit more, and I don't mean that. I mean scribbling is a great way to alleviate the mental encasement of your creative soul. It's a way to, as I said before, to bypass the analytical side of your brain. I'm not saying it's a left or right thing, because I'm not really into all that, but scribbling is a great way to do that. It just takes away the pressure of having to be perfect, but there's a little bit more than scribble to it. The gestures are scribble-like, but there is a little bit more, because there is some control over there. This is the thing. When I did I don't know if anyone's done the scribble course, but it talked about on the course, it talks about focusing the scribble. So it's not just a case of it's just, and it's not one of those things where you've seen it. I just saw a guy the other day do this amazing kind of horseback rider thing. And that was a complete, sort of extravagant sort of melee of mark making. It was fantastic. But yeah, that's not, I kind of think with those is they just make the marks and look for the whatever is within the marks. I think that's what it's a bit like staring at clouds, that kind of thing. You can see elephants in the clouds and all that. It's a bit like that kind of. This is more focused, because it's obviously going to be a portrait of somebody, so it has to be a bit more focused. But yeah, it's. And the other thing about this is, and we were talking about this last night with the the tonal aspects of it. One of the things, I tend to draw portraits that are quite dark. I mean, almost sort of silhouette type of things, and it's just because of the way that it's much easier to shape things with when there's definite areas of darker tone. It's just you can almost create the shape with just those tones. It's almost like a silhouette of it. But a lot of people have problems seeing within the tones, and some of the students ask for better images where there are more light in those darker areas, and it got me thinking about this desire to see the detail. To see the detail within it is the thing, so they can draw the detail within it. And really, to me, if you can't see it, then you shouldn't draw it. It's not to be drawn; it's to be suggested or implied. It's that kind of thing. So another problem that people have, another problem of this wanting to draw everything thing. And I'm more, for me, I just want to draw enough. I don't want to draw everything. I just want to draw enough so you can see what I can see. I don't want to draw everything, every line and everything that's every element of this face. I'm not interested in. I'm just interested in drawing enough to capture the essence and for people to see what I see. That's all I'm interested in. But a lot of people want to draw everything. And that's a curse. That's I think that's on the road to sort of perfectionism and all that sort of stuff. And it is really a curse. How or why or where that comes from, I have no idea. But I'm not, I'm not looking to describe every part of the face. I'm not. It's just for me. It's just almost like. It's almost like you're tormenting yourself, torturing yourself. That I've got to draw every bit of it, but you don't. You just have to draw enough. And I think when I did that, I don't think I've done a course on that, but I talked about it as if it was a thing. Like an impressionism. It was enoughism. So maybe that's a thing. Maybe that's just draw enough. Don't paint or draw everything that you think you need to see, or everything you see. Just draw enough. If it's about communication, which it is really, whether it's about the communication of the mood, the essence, it's certainly not about. You only need to draw whatever it is that's peculiar about that thing that transmits that face. That's what you've got to find. The hardest thing is finding that, because that's the one thing, and that's going back to this: how you connect with somebody. I think that the connection with the subject is the fundamental thing, and particularly when it's not this is a great face, but if you've got a face that's not a great face, that's just fairly bland and not much happening, then it's hard to connect. You can connect to, as I said before, crusty old men, with lots of life in the face. You can connect to those beautiful women. You can connect to those, but to connect to just some normal person, there's no particular mood or feature, because that's another thing as well. Features are a big thing, but they're not necessarily the thing that creates the mood. I mean, they're going to be. It could be that they've got a big nose, but it doesn't mean to say that that's her, and it will reflect in their personality or their mood. But it's sometimes it's difficult to connect. What I'm trying. This is an example of it becomes what it becomes, because it's. I'm not trying to describe what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. I'm just doing it, and that's kind of that's the best place for me to be, because I'm not trying to explain exactly why I'm putting those lines there. I'm just responding to what I see, and that's, as I say, it's a lot easier for me. People say that I did talk and draw. It's hard. But it's easy in some respects, because my brain's not really getting involved in it. It's being bypassed. I'm talking and that's occupying my brain, and basically I can get on and draw or paint then. But as I say, this is as you can see that as this is evolving, there's lots of stuff about this. You see, this could easily be one of those I've done them before. You've seen me do these before, where it's just that if I nail down the eyes and then a little bit more definition in the hair, I'd probably leave it. It's one of those, but I didn't set out to do that. I just wanted to draw, and that's it. And that's again how that manifests. I don't really have any control over it or any specific requirement for it. I don't think that I would be able to do it if I had. This is a new batch of hazel charcoal, by the way. I'm having problems at the moment. I don't know if it's the time of year or what it is, but the charcoal's not doing so well. So I got a tin full and managed to get 4 sticks out of it. It's so much, for me, it's so much better than shop bought stuff. And I tell you why, this is really weird, this, and it might sound a bit weird, but the charcoal, this is some shop bought charcoal. I've got it in a tin, but it's not the right tin. It's a Winsor & Newton charcoal, this stuff, right? And the problem with this, I find, and it's just my problem, and it can be a combination of paper and other things, but I find that this is what my son refers to as on or off. It tends to be black or not black. So, and it's typical charcoal. You'll see it, and you work with it, and you push it around, and it has a typical charcoal feel. This is probably why which hasn't got on or off. It's got a nice graduated from light to dark feel about it. And people often say, "Is it graphite?" And I think that's probably why, because it's slightly grayer than in certain areas than your normal charcoal is. So it has that, as I say, more of a subtlety about it. That's what I like. So I've got, and the guy that somebody talking about the tones the other day, when do I commit? Because this is progressive. This is, my tonal, as I'm working the tones now, my tonal manipulation, if you like, is a progressive thing. So first of all, as you've seen, I've isolated the shapes using some loose kind of tones like this here, and they may stay because they still give the impression of the relevant tonal value. But because it's a progressive thing with the hazel, it has a much more controlled, I suppose, facilities, capability. It's much more within my control. The tones are much more within my control because of its gradual tonal ability, rather than the shop bought stuff, which is you get mid tones with a shop bought, but it's kind of it's on, as I say, it's on or off, and I don't know. I find that more difficult to draw with. And I've done them. I think that one last night was done with the shop bought stuff, but it's the homemade stuff is on another level. And I saw somebody the other day saying that this is how you make it, and you always use willow. I didn't have any joy with willow. I used crack willow, pussy willow, carrot willow, and there was another one as well. There was 3 kinds of willows that I tried. Didn't have much luck with that stuff at all. Mainly the cooking side of things, not really using it. But this stuff, when it works, has probably been the best one I've found. The hawthorn to start with was great, and I didn't really know any better. But as I sort of worked through the different woods within my sort of locality, this is proven to be the best one. Mainly because of this progressive tonal facility, the ability to just sort of. You see, I like charcoal that makes continuous marks. When I just let it glide over the top, I want it to be I want it to apply a layer, if you like. As I just let it glide across the surface, because that, as I said, controlling the tones is the thing for me. and this is what hazel does. It does do that. I can just let it waft across the top within no effort, and it will make it'll apply charcoal to the surface. So as I said, it's a lot better for me. And I understand that people can't get, they can't make it, and it's difficult to sort of have a fire or whatever else. But I think you can probably buy, the Winsor & Newton stuff. As I say, it was just something I picked up in the local store, so I don't know whether or not, it would be a different, whether you can get something different. It was a really cheap thing, so it might well be not quality, So you could probably try the different. And it seems to me that charcoal, although the nitrum stuff seems expensive, but you must be able to find charcoal that has, bought charcoal that has the same kind of capacity as this stuff. You can't just, they may not use hazel, but this ability to apply tones lightly and be manipulated, I think would be. It's got to be available. You've got to be able to buy it. It's like the paper. And somebody was asking about the paper the other day. I'll draw on anything that I can find that I've got to hand. But if I had a choice, I'd probably draw on this stuff, which is just some. Again, it's from eBay. It's just some cheap cartridge. I wouldn't buy. Somebody gave me a pad the other day of expensive paper, Strathmore stuff. And I don't think I'll use it. It's just again, it's one of those things where it affects the drawing so much. It makes things darker, and it's got a texture on it and all that sort of thing. I'm not really. I don't want it to do that. I want it to just leave me alone and let me draw. It's sort of. Anything that takes the control away from me. That's what it is. I'm a control freak. Yeah. But what I like, as I say, what I like about this stuff, this hazel, is this. I don't know if you can see this on here, but you can see how this evolves in a kind of. I can only relate it to painting. That you get this narrowing of the elements, the focus of the elements, as you sort of push it around your fingers, and you sort of, I'm tapping it off, and I'm just sort of letting the charcoal glide in certain places and just increasing. And there's lots of marks around it that are completely irrelevant. This one here, for instance, which is probably going to end up being that sort of shadow above his eye there, but they're almost like part of the deal. These extra marks that are not really meant to be there are almost like meant to be there. I think it's back to the wrong mark thing as well. That's, wrong marks are a great thing. I think that, is underestimate the wrong marks. The wrong marks are there. If you accept the value of wrong marks, then all of a sudden you're liberated, because you're not saying to yourself that every mark has to be perfect. You're just saying that, you're accepting that there are going to be wrong marks, and they are just as important as the right marks, which is true. From my point of view, that's definitely true. And I try. I don't deliberately make wrong marks. That's the thing. I don't do that, but I do. I'm not frightened to make wrong marks. That's the thing. You got to sort of embrace the wrongness thing. Again, I think I did that on another video as well. Can't remember where I did it or where the video is, but embracing the wrong marks was a thing. So, but as I said, I do this because I just like doing it, and that's probably the best reason to do anything. I said to somebody the other day that I think it's one of the videos, you don't need a reason to draw or paint or make art, full stop. You just need a bloody good reason not to. And that's it. So, I don't think cutting the lawn qualifies for not drawing. Maybe something more serious, but certainly the menial day-to-day stuff, nah, that's not gonna drag me away from the easel. In fact, come summer, I'll probably cut the lawn twice, and that's about it. So, yeah, I shouldn't be saying that, should I? But anyway, so yeah, you can see this is what happens. This is what happens when you just do it for the joy. I think that's the crux of what I'm trying to say. Just do it because it's such a joyful thing. Don't worry about what it might be or whether it's going to be perfect or, what people are going to think about it. Just do it, It's not... and I always... What the one thing that I always equate this to is this is magic. This is the nearest that humans come to be, to magic, to creating magic. Because... what was it, 25 minutes ago, this never existed. So I brought this into existence in 25 minutes, right? Something that never existed before. If that's not magic, I don't know what is. But yeah, I'm done anyway. So apart from a few tidy ups, but I'm done. Yeah. So just about there. It's just about there. I tell you what. One of the things that I tend to do, and I did it on last night's the girl in the hat thing, was that whilst the strokes, you sort of strokes can be attractive. Now I learned this when I was doing illustration all those years ago with the sort of pen and ink and brush stuff, and so I got felt tip pens, magic markers that. The direction, even though the direction of your marks aren't necessarily in the direction, say, of the hair, there has to be a kind of a evenness about the way that you make these marks. However erratic they may appear, there has to be some kind of evenness about the marks. Particularly when you're applying, you're trying to simulate tone, there has to be an evenness to your marks. And as I said, even within sort of continuous tone areas like that. So I would spend, after doing something like the girl last night, I would spend time just evening out the tones. And this is back to why the charcoal should apply a thin layer with no pressure, because it can run across the surface and it can merge and amalgamate the existing charcoal without too much influence on the tones, but it just brings, you can see it's doing it there, look, and it just brings a level of evenness to the direction of the remarks. I actually like, in some ways, in some cases, I like the erratic, this things like this area here. I kind of like those things. They're a bit illustrative, they're a bit kind of hang-ups from being an illustrator, you can tell, but I still like those, without getting too 1970s, because you see a lot of those that have that sort of feel an illustrator of 1970. I like all, those posters, those movie poster type illustrators. I like all that, but I don't want to get too much like that. Otherwise, it looks a bit predictable. Back in the day, we used to refer to that as being slick. If you could do, it was a visualizer thing. So if you could sort of indicate hair or whatever, people would say it's very slick in the way he does it. But as I said, I like the randomness of marks, but sometimes I will want it to be a little bit more even in the way it works. I don't. So and then literally what I'll do is that just to smooth it off, I suppose, is the right way to describe it. But like I say, this is done really, so I won't rabbit on anymore. And yeah, it's a good image actually. As I said, I like the sort of silhouette things. This is not hard to draw this stuff. If you're going to draw anything, look for images that are well contrasting, because it's going to be a lot easier. You can move on to the more subtle stuff later on, but when you first start out, it's a lot easier when the images are nice and contrasting. So yeah, as I said, I'm not really going to go much further with it. I might just even things out a little bit more, but not much. There's a highlight there, but there's a bit more of his eyeball showing there, but which is about, I think I've done about enough there. I've done too much now, but which I have. I can't. I've just the only problem I've got with the charcoal, I tend to just throw it down, and I've got loads of charcoal outside of me. I can't remember the piece I was using before. But anyway, so yeah, I'm done. All by the shouting. I do like the way that things evolve as well, and this is part of the progressive approach. I think I like the evolution of things as opposed to the precision of trying to get things right in the first place. I like the way that things can evolve. I think also, I tell you what I like is a depth that comes with it. You know, when you take away something, when something's wrong and you remove it, I like the residue of that. It's almost like gives it depth. So yeah, so I'd say that's me done. Right. Apart from the width of things that needs fixing, I think it's fine. Yeah, I think it's fine apart from the width. So right, I'll catch you in the next one.